Donna has said at the root cause of every disease pattern in the body is energy not moving forward and energy not crossing over. So if you want to heal, you have to have these energies working the way they were designed to work, and the energy is designed to cross over. Welcome to the world of energy, where science meets spirit. Ancient wisdom merges with cutting-edge knowledge, and the possibilities for a healthier, happier you are endless. Hi everybody, Lauren here with Blaine. Welcome back to another episode of Energy Works, and we are breaking down the EMYoga Wake-Up. So this next part is really exciting and important. So I want you to think back to when you were a baby. And if you can't remember, then maybe you have children and you can think back to when they were babies. And if you don't have children, then you can just visualize and remember seeing a little baby rolling over onto their belly and then trying to move forward. And they kind of have their arms out in front of them and they're sort of paddling a little bit on the carpet, sort of just trying to figure out how they're going to move, because they have some internal drive in them that says, I want to move now. And then they start to do little yoga poses. They do little upward dogs. They do little downward dogs. They start to move a little bit, and then they start to crawl. They start to crawl. And that crawling starts to wire their brains in a different way than it was before, and it starts to increase the neural connections in their brains. And it starts to increase their ability to learn, to move, to think, and it starts them on their next trajectory of development. It is an incredibly important piece of development. And if a baby doesn't crawl and they just go straight to standing up and trying to walk around, they actually can be developmentally delayed later when they start to go to school or they're starting to learn, because they have missed this incredibly important piece of physiological and intellectual and neurological patterning. So this is the next piece of the EMYoga Wake-Up, is to go back in time and to repattern the body to those patterns that we learned as babies when we crawl. Now I say relearn because our bodies, I mentioned on the last podcast, we have all of these energy systems of our bodies and they can go kind of haywire. In fact, that is what happens when you get sick. Your body's kind of going haywire. It's what happens when you've got an illness that goes on and you can't get well from it. Your body's energies aren't working in their optimal capacity so that you can heal. The body is built to heal. That is the second most important thing that it does after digesting your food. It spends all of its energy healing, regenerating, rejuvenating itself. But it has a harder time doing that if your energies aren't working the way they were created to work. And one of the ways that they were created to work is this crossover pattern from the DNA, which is a twisting pattern. So if you look at it, these energies are crossing over each other all the way up to the hemispheres of the brain, which run opposite sides of the body in this writ large crossover pattern. And this pattern appears over and over again in all of your energy system, in all of your cells, in all of your organs. It just keeps replicating itself, iterating over and over. Energy needs to cross over. If it's not, you are tired, you are sick, you are depressed, you can't motivate yourself, you're uncoordinated, you're unbalanced. All of these things happening because your energy, which is you beneath all of you isn't working right. And so we want to repattern that energy. Donna has said at the root cause of every disease pattern in the body is energy not moving forward and energy not crossing over. So if you want to heal, you have to have these energies working the way they were designed to work, and the energy is designed to cross over. So we're going to do just like the little babies did. The thing that we're going to add into it, and actually the babies do this too, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit differently, is what we're first going to do is we're going to speak to the energies that aren't crossing over. And then we're going to bring them into that crossover. So there's this tenet in the yoga world, but it's also, I kind of think it's in every world, especially every world of education, where you meet a person where they are. You meet them where they are. And so we're going to meet our energy where it is. And in a lot of us, a lot of the time, our energies are running in patterns that are parallel to each other. And that is not what we want. And there's things that can put us into that place of parallel energy, which makes us tired, which makes us not feel good. If you drive a lot and you see and you're watching those parallel lines on the center of the road and you wonder why you're so tired, you're just sitting in the car, but you're exhausted. Your energies have gone from crossover into this parallel pattern that doesn't support you. Even things like, for those of you that are on visual, that are watching this podcast, I'm sitting in front of a door that has tongue and groove, and it's up and down lines. And I keep trying to kind of block it out because I can see that behind me, it's almost doing that to me. It's unhooking my energies and making them run in these parallel patterns. So we want things to be crossing over. If you wear pinstripes, that can put you into this parallel pattern. So how do we get out of it? We're going to meet all of those parallel energies. We're going to gather them up, and then we're going to gently corral them into crossing over. So you can do this sitting down. You can do this standing up. You can do it lying down. It doesn't matter. You can do it small. You can do it big. All we're going to do is get our energy to cross over. So we're going to start by, we call it marching in place, but you're not really marching, although if you're standing up, you can. I'm sitting down right now. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to tap my right hand to my right thigh. And I'm going to tap my left hand to my left thigh. I'm going to go right to right, left to left, right to right, left to left. That's all. I'm going to do it like 3 times. And then I'm going to dust my hands off like I'm dusting flour off my hands. I'm like, enough with that. I've spoken to the energies that are parallel, and I've said, come on, you guys. And now I'm dusting that off, and now I'm going to go left hand to right leg, right hand to left, left to right, right to left. Again, you can go big. If I wanted to kind of bring up my heart rate a little, I might sweep my arm wide overhead and come along. And if I'm standing up, I might bring my knees up really high. I can do it really small here too. The thing that I want to pay attention to is that I'm crossing the midline of the body with the hands, and that I'm doing twice as many of this crossing pattern as I've done the same side. So we did 3 taps on each leg, same side, same side. I'm going to do at least 6. I like to do kind of double. So if I did 3, I'm going to do 6. So I might do 12. And then I'm going to stop and shake that off. If you have a pattern of being in this parallel reality, it's actually called homolateral, that you're on the same side of the body instead of crossing over. If you're in that parallel reality, you've got a pattern of that and a habit of that and a history of that. So you might need to do this repatterning several times. And if you're not sure if that's you, you just have to kind of take a little bit of stock of what's going on with you. Are you one of those people who get sick and can't get well? Do you feel tired throughout the day? Do you feel depressed for not any reason and you're not really sure why, but you just can't shake it? Do you feel uncoordinated a lot? If those are things that you recognize yourself in, you might need to do this pattern 2 or 3 or 4 times a day with some real consistency day to day to day before it starts to become the new pattern, which is you optimizing all of your flows of energy.
Thanks, Lauren. Hi, everyone. I'm here too, for those of you on audio and not watching us on video, maybe on YouTube. After Lauren was talking a bit, I thought, oh, I didn't even say hi to everybody yet. So, hello. And I love the cross crawl. First of all, it's fun and it can really kind of snap you out of a funk. Lauren and I are sitting here podcasting and I was talking about how I have a computer in front of me. I have like lights on my sides and I start to feel that feeling of running in, like I'm kind of a little bit in low gear, right? I think there's a lot of EMFs coming at me right now, which are very disruptive to the energy. And so the first thing I'm going to do when we wrap up this podcast is hop up and start bringing my energy back into crossover. And one of the rules of energy is that energy forms habits and patterns. And so if you are someone who is often tired, who is often in front of computers and lights like this, who is often sick, it's running in low gear. Your body goes into this conservation mode. It's like, whoa, like I need to conserve the energy that I have. So we're going into low gear. We're going into conservation mode because we don't know how long we're going to be in this condition. And then, the people who, no matter how much they sleep at night, they still wake up and they're still really tired. And no matter what, nutrition or moving the body, just none of this really seems to be working. It may be, there are many reasons why that could be, but one of them could be that you have become patterned into a homolateral state because your body works in patterns. And so if you're in a homolateral and then you're like, okay, I'm going to cross over, and then you go right back into homolateral, then your body's like, okay, we're staying in low gear here. So the repatterning and just the doing it again and again and again and again until you can create your pattern so that it is actually more often crossover than not is something, it's a common journey, I think, that a lot of people have when they're starting to work with their energy.
Yeah, and I think kind of going back to that babyhood, not even childhood, but that babyhood patterning, I actually first learned about the cross crawl before I started studying with Donna, when I studied with the woman here doing brain gym. And brain gym is something that they bring into schools to help students learn. And one of the things that is really big in brain gym is this crossover pattern. So this has been known in education circles for a really long time. So if you've got any kids or adults in your life that have any kind of learning disability, dyslexia, anything that kind of is inhibiting the brain from being able to optimally function, one of the things that is done clinically is to repattern to this crossover pattern so that you can learn better. And it doesn't, whether you're in school or not, it's going to help every kind of learning that you do, processing information, being able to synthesize information, just expanding your capacity for everything. And I just remember when I first got turned on to this again, studying with Donna, and my dog at the time was a new puppy. He was maybe 1 or 2 years old and just tons of energy. And I was going through a real difficult time. And so I didn't have a lot of energy. I felt always dragging. And so we would go for a walk in the woods and he'd just be racing ahead and I'd be dragging down the trail, hollering for him, Louie, slow down, And then I would do the cross crawl in the woods and I would immediately get this burst of energy. And then we would go off again on our walk, both of us in this energized state. So it really, I mean, you can do this on the fly. You know, you don't only have to do this within the context of the EMYoga Wake-Up, but you can do it on the fly anywhere. And, you know, like I said, it's just a great one to do with kids. If you're a teacher, bring the wake up into your classroom. You will notice, I mean, talk about a before and after. If you bring the wake up into your classroom, and actually, gosh, maybe we should do like a little study about this. If there's teachers out there, ping us, get in touch with us. And I'd like to see what happens if you do a little study that you check in with all the kids before the wake up and you do the wake up and then you see how they do in school, and you do that for a month. And maybe you do it for a month before they've got some kind of test that they need to do, because that puts the stress of knowing you have a test upcoming can throw you into homolateral, into this parallel pattern. And so if you can do the wake up and then take these tests, you'll notice, I think, that your scores will increase. The kids will be better behaved. They'll be able to learn more. It's really amazing what this does energetically, especially for, I mean, it works amazing for adults too, but kids have fewer inhibitions about it and resistance to doing it. And they notice, like, if something works and feels good, they love it. They want to do it. It's playful. You can make it be playful too.
Yeah, I love that about the teachers. And it also leads me to the thought, and stick with me here, everyone, because I might be crossing the line into the woo a little bit more, but we know that we are influenced by the energy of other people. You know, if someone walks in the room, they can shift our energy either to the good or to the bad. And one of the things that happens with homolateral is that a person who is homolateral can put another person into homolateral. And so if you're a teacher at the front of the room, even if you're not going to do an experiment with your students, just doing the EMYoga Wake-Up before you stand in front of the room and teach will actually influence the energy of your students to be either in crossover or homolateral. And I, as a yoga teacher, sometimes I speak from the stage, even on Zoom. I want to make sure my energies are crossing over so that my homolateral energy state isn't influencing other people's energy state and making them homolateral as well.
I'm really glad that you brought that up, Blaine. That's really great because, you know, we've seen this. Blaine and I have been to many events with Donna Eden, and she often does something like this in the front of a huge audience of people, and she'll actually show, and there's ways that you can test to see, are you losing energy? Are you falling asleep? You know, the energetics of what's going on. And so if somebody is in the front of the room and presenting and they are in homolateral, you can, you know, you don't even need to test. You can look out at the audience and everyone's just slumped in their seat and people are doing the twitching because they're waking up because you said something louder. But, you know, people aren't tracking you. They're not able to take it in. And as soon as you organize your energies, then your audience perks up and they're with you and they're paying attention. I remember, I'm not going to name any names, but I remember watching a very important speech being given, and the person giving the speech was clearly in homolateral and it was not landing. And I literally emailed Donna and I was like, you need to get in touch with that person and help them to get out of homolateral, get into a crossover pattern so that they can deliver this really important information. And she agreed with me. She was watching it at the same time too, and she could tell that this person was not optimized. So you can tell, and you know it from the people that you listen to when you love them and you're energized from them, they're working optimally. Their energies are crossed over. And those, you know, people that you listen to, whether they're professionals, even, you know, you can see actors up on a stage and you can tell if they are not in a crossover pattern because the audience is just falling asleep. So I'm really glad you brought that up, Blaine. That's especially if you're a public speaker at all, you really, really, really want to get these energies organized.
All right, Lauren, before we go, finish our episode for today. And before everyone listens to the final episode on the Wake Up, is there anything else you want to say about crossover?
I think, the beauty of this kind of work is that, especially when you're just starting out, it takes very little input to get a really big payout. And so something like the Wake Up, or even just doing the cross crawl, can give you such good feedback that what you're doing is working for you and really changing what's going on in a really positive, beneficial way. So I would say, if anything I had to leave you with, is check it out, do it. Next time you wake up in the morning, you could still be in bed and do these techniques and just see how you feel and make note of that, so that you continue to give yourself that positive feedback loop. I think that we're going to close off with that, and we will see you all next time. I hope you're starting to incorporate some of these techniques. Drop us a note in the chat there and let us know how these techniques are landing for you. And if there's other questions that you have, we really love interacting with our audience. We want to know what you like, we want to know what you want more of, and we want to know how you're feeling. So drop us a note, say hi, and we'll check you out next time.
Bye. Alrighty, Energy fans, that's a wrap on another positively charged episode of Energy Works. Lauren, this is the part where we get to use our energy puns.
It's been electrifying, hasn't it, Blaine? We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have.
If you're feeling amped up and you want to keep your energy flowing, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform.
And we'd love to hear from you. So please take a moment to leave us a review. Your feedback helps us continue to deliver content that resonates. So light up our inbox.
And spark a conversation with your friends to tell them about us. And we'll see you next time on Energy Works.